Okay. So for those of you that don't know, I am very lucky to get together now for 13 years, I think. And every year we get together, and we are, as in my core, like, so one of the things is when I started my game development career in QA, I was very fortunate to meet very young dudes like myself, all like very, very, very like late teens, early 20s. You know, these guys, out of the sample size we had, some of these guys were, you know, they were like me. I was like them. I mean, we are our own people too, but I don't know how to quite say it like this, but it's one of those things where before I went to go make video games, and even being able to test video games and get into a company like LucasArts, I was in a situation where I never thought I could do that thing. I've grown up playing video games, but just because you play doesn't mean you're qualified. And indeed, I was not qualified, other than I was, I was very humbled to be given an opportunity. And I wanted to maximize that opportunity by working insanely hard. And I did that. That was where a big chunk of my life went. I show up, and over the years, some of these guys, we work on different projects together. We work on a few together. And, you know, we discovered that out of our sample size, we really, really were passionate about games. Like, not only have we played games our entire lives growing up, but we shared that passion. It's not just like, oh, I play games, you play games, huh? That's good. You know, if we could sit down and play games and be totally fine, right? Like, games are really one of our go-tos that gave us the opportunity and ability to I think recharge our batteries, to get lost in the medium, to appreciate. We played a lot of games. We played a lot of similar games growing up through, the before even the 8-bit era, so once upon a time when we were working at the company, we did two things. Later on, it was one of the first times we did it. So after we were there for a few years, like, we started turning into QA leads, and some of us went to like effects and design and production. Like, we fanned out a little bit, right? And I think one of the things that that when I imagined going to work for the first time in the industry, I was of the opinion that that everyone would be super passionate, everyone would be really focused, everyone would be deeply, because it's a rare opportunity to be able to work on games. So this is back when game development teams weren't 100 people, they weren't 500 people, they weren't crazy major things like that. There were some amazing successes, but the industry grew like crazy around the PS2 and PS3 eras, for sure. And as technology changed, game changed, appetites for big blockbusters changed. And then, I showed up and I was like, oh, like, not everyone was like this. People didn't want to sit down and have spirited discourse about why the Nintendo 64 controller is one of the best controllers ever made, and that it's perfectly balanced on a finger, right? Now, with that being said, that dual analog stick thing is very nice too, don't get me wrong. You could have these conversations, like, I came into a place where there were a lot of PC gamers, and I was console, also PC as well, but console too. And, like, there was plenty of work, more work than everyone, and a lot of times, like, developers are just trying to make it happen as hard as they can, and so not everyone comes with the same kind of experience. And so I've always been of the opinion that through spirited discourse and logic, sometimes you can identify passion and other things, but through these tools, you can come together to make better experiences, creative and otherwise. Creativity is so crazy. Things are so complex in a lot of ways. And not everyone, even if it's their job, are interested in those things, or they don't have time for that, or whatever it may be. So there was plenty of work to grab and like own, and I'm very fortunate for having done that. So anyways, after a few years of us just working our butts off, we realized that our company had a pretty major deficit in its awareness about about new games that have come to the market, the most popular games of the year, the most successful games, the newest pieces of art that were amazing in terms of art. This is before there were a lot of crazy indie games and such, and so what we did is we put together for one day for the whole company, we put together one giant war room where we brought all the consoles, some of the ones we had, we brought classic consoles, and then we just laid out all the games, and then we'd hang out. And as people would come down, because we would do some food and stuff like that, we would share with them these games, and they would sit down and they'd play them, and people would have a good time. And it was really cool. It was badass. How could you not work? How could you work for a video game company and forget that playing games is such a wonderful thing? And, and then you realize that not everyone is you, and that's okay, because you can share that, right? It's only when you notice that out of a company of hundreds of people, and then when you make these efforts, and you care passionately about these types of things, and you put in the extra effort to do it, for the betterment of everyone, you really kind of start to realize how much deeper into the hole of passion you go than other folks, right? And then you start to realize, like, my dudes, these friends that I spent time with, we all came up around the same time. And, it's very humbling, because when we hang out, we love each other. We'll drink stuff together, we'll make noises, but we're primarily together so we can do the thing that all of us used to do when we were young, which is to dive into these deep holes of video gaming. And like, games are long most of the time, it's shorter games too, whatever. But you realize that it takes sort of a special like certain sauce. I mean, we get together for basically 3 days, and we get shit all for sleep. I know, because I slept on the blow-up mattress, so I was last to bed and first to wake up when people wanted to start playing games again. And these dudes, we're sleeping, we'll call it 4 hours. We'll call it that. And we're just getting the most out of the whole thing. Like, we nuke some food because we bring all of our food, or we ordered a pizza, and we eat our pizza and we play our games, and we play co-op games, and we play games, and we all of our consoles there, of course. Well, the consoles where we wanted. I just brought my PS4. Too many consoles, not enough time. Yeah, so there we are, right? And we don't watch TV. We don't go out to shop. We don't take breaks and walk around. Like, we don't sit down and have too many like deep levels of discourse. We do talk about games. I consider it like a gaming retreat. So, but we talk about games, or sometimes we take a couple minute breaks, and we will then like, I'll hang out and watch, generally on the to and from like getting my own snacks or whatever, right? It's not for everybody. And then you realize just how not for everybody it is, because not everyone wants to sit down and play games for, the majority of the day. The vast majority of the day. So I am very, very, it's very humbling, and I'm very lucky to find these dudes, and that we've had all this time together we spent, and that we can come together to really celebrate one of the great passions in our life, and and to not only play single player games, but to see what each of us are playing. And like, I was cool. I saw one of my buddies, he was playing Bloodstained. That was a big game for me last year, of course. Another of my buddies was playing Control. That was a big game for us that we played through, right? Like, we really enjoyed that. It was good to see that some of the games that we were interested in, there was always those weird esoteric ones. Like, my buddy was playing this warehouse game. I don't even know what the name of it is now, but it's basically a game where you're a warehouse inventory manager. It's like 2D graphics, very, very, and you build up your warehouse and you get more and more product. And then you have to like load your products onto the, based on how to request. So you have to remember where you put them in your warehouse to get them in under time, right? And I can see why that's appealing. And those things are just fascinating to me. Like, when people find ways to express experiences that are analogs to the world, and they're expressed through game mechanics, I often call those things itches that I like to scratch. That's partially why games like Farm Simulator There are people that play Farm Simulator, right? Like, there are people that play Truck Simulator. Like, what do? I drive a big truck. It's an analog for, you know, having the ability to experience something by proxy that you normally, you know, like not all of us are going to go out in our life and be able to get a big 18 wheel like hauler license, right, and drive around semi trucks. So gaming is a beautiful thing in that way, and it's been a pleasure to share it with these guys.